How would your life look if rather than waiting for one day, today became your day one? And what could you build if you took the step instead of not? Every great accomplishment starts with one single decision, the decision to begin. Because if you're anything like me and you're all about overcoming hesitation, starting imperfectly, and realizing that momentum begins with the first step, then by the end of this talk, we'll both be better equipped to not only take action today, but also more deeply understand that how embracing a day one thinking can transform the way you approach your goals, habits, and future. If you don't know, my name is Chad Joshua, and I am working my way towards writing a 100-song catalog. I write songs about populism, freedom, and liberty, and this is my artist channel that I use to promote those songs. In my free time, I like to have these chats to consider what we could do to make our effort toward reaching our goals as effective as possible. Starting something new, it's like planting a seed. It doesn't matter how small that seed is, but what does matter is putting it into the soil today. It's so easy to procrastinate. I am an expert in procrastination, and if you've been there, then you know there's all sorts of reasons why we put things off. Or maybe we're afraid that because we're lazy, we will have to do anything. But no matter what, waiting for that perfect time is like unicorn hunting. It's perfectly exciting, but much like that unicorn, the perfect time, it never comes. And that leaves us with the cost of inaction, the delayed and wasted time, compounded self-doubt, self-loathing, disgust, looking in the mirror at this person again. We're so pre-programmed to having to plan everything out just so perfectly that we don't really feel comfortable with winging it. And the fact is, when we commence out onto that hero journey, we have no idea where that path is going to take us. There's no trip planner. It is completely forging into the jungle with a machete. There could be a cliff just ahead or the city of gold. There's no way to know unless you start hacking your way through it, bit by bit. The thing about starting, as it compares to not starting, is that once you begin, you have something. You have an adventure, a path, an opportunity that is diametrically opposed to having nothing if you fail to start. You know, in my experience as a songwriter and my effort to promote myself as such, I faced all sorts of setbacks and things that stopped the day one. And admittedly, I lived decades after decades waiting for the one day, only to wake up and find my old man face coming out there staring in the bathroom mirror filled with rage and disgust. I realized I wasted my whole life and I had nothing. An old man face. It was in that moment, picking myself up from a pool of tears, that I realized that day was day one. And in the past year, I've written and produced 6 songs, published, and gotten myself better acquainted with social media and how to navigate all of that. And I realized that those stats aren't particularly all-inspiring, but all of that is certainly more tangible than anything I would have had otherwise. And while it's been something of a slow ramp up to speed, it has been action and substance nonetheless. Small steps lead to significant progress. Consistent effort builds confidence and skill. Starting is the hardest part, but it sets everything into motion. And it's that motion that makes everything easier because of the momentum it creates. That isn't to say that there won't be difficult days that will require pure determination and in order to leverage yourself out of whatever rut may come along. But at that point, you will have invested so much of yourself into the effort that you'll be ever more diligent about protecting it, allowing you to call on self-discipline, even in the moments whenever that momentum isn't so distinctly obvious. So you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, but how do I do this really? How do I take the one day that seems so massive and unsurmountable and turn it into a day one? And I say even that is easier than you think. It's all about how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. You have to look at the whole thing in pieces and what would be the starting pieces that you could strive towards accomplishing. Make a list with blocks, maybe the first 5 actions that you might have to accomplish, and just start to that list. Start the first one today. In fact, the first one is the list, and then make a commitment to yourself to keep a schedule of seeing to taking these tasks off your list till you've made it of a habit, something that is integrated into your life, because it won't be at first, and it will seem cumbersome for sure. If you would have told me all of the things that I do on a daily basis a year ago, I would have only procrastinated more. You have no idea the benefit of not knowing what you don't know. Just live inside that. Every day I'm equipping myself to better be able to handle more and more. And unless you are a pariah, and I'm sure you have these same types of qualities, and probably better than mine. So if an idiot can do something, then you certainly can, right? Focus on the process, not the perfection. Start with the tools and the resources that you already have and work from there. Something leads to the next. If the path is too dark, strike a match. Then recognize how such a small light can illuminate your path. You don't need to make it harder than it is. There's no way that I would go back. And it isn't that it was easy, because it wasn't. It was a lot, but it was the nature and how it all built on itself and gradually integrated into my life that made all of it become a natural part of my daily routine, to where I can noticeably see the distinction of my day-to-day now as compared to then. But it isn't such that it's cumbersome. It's just become the new normal. I do all of this as if it's part of my daily routine now. And I think all of that is the reward of taking action. So take action. You need to do something, because no matter how much you delude yourself, you are never going to catch a unicorn with your backside planted on the sofa. You have to get out there into the thick of it. I've been really fortunate of late to be able to have reframed goals for myself. And while they sit out into the future like a great elusive prize, I've realized that capture of that prize isn't what is important so much so as it is the predicate of us making an adventure out of our lives. And you may think that I'm just trying to romanticize or idealize making a pursuit when it really is a grind. But I say that if you have that kind of thinking, then you're already creating your own impedance from achieving anything, whether it's reaching the goal or having an adventure trying. So make some effort today to get to it. Keep your head up. I'm going to keep my head up. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to my new song, you can hear it there. And we'll talk again soon.